Hello, everybody. Rokelle Lerner here. In my last video, I spent some time discussing the devastating effects of over-controlling in our lives. Today, I'd like to talk about a concept that's beyond our control, and that's called grace. Grace is a term used to describe any of those events in which help comes our way unexpectedly. When the solution to a perplexing problem just suddenly pops into our head. When you suddenly find the strength to rise to an occasion you didn't think you could endure. When the next phase in your spiritual path becomes as plain as day. You know, grace is generally associated with religion, but you don't need to be religious to notice and benefit from this help that comes to us, and actually something we can recognize. Despite what's going on around us, and there is a lot going on around us in the world, we can open our eyes to the sources of grace everywhere and in everyone. And when we open ourselves to grace, we begin to see it work. It works wonders in our lives, and we become conduits of its power to others. Moments of grace usually come as surprises. But we can learn to recognize the grace that surrounds us in nature, in our spirituality, in relationships, in our recovery, and in our own bodies. For instance, every 10 days, I grow new corneas in my eyes. When I skin my knee, a new scab grows. My heart keeps beating without my controlling it, and when I eat a meal and the food comes from the dirt, the food and the dirt become me. There is evidence that there's grace, and I have no control over this process. And most importantly, we need to give grace to ourselves. Giving ourselves grace is permission to forgive our mistakes, our lapses in judgment, some of our hurtful behavior, because nobody is perfect. And it doesn't mean that you condone all of your mistakes, but you treat yourself with a combination of compassion, grace, and discipline, and the willingness to grow. I love this acronym for grace. G is for generosity, the will to do something more for others. R is for respect, respecting ourselves and the dignity of life and work. A stands for action, the mechanism for change. C is compassion, the concern for ourselves and others. And E is energy, the spirit that catalyzes us. Grace enables the recipient to do and be what he or she cannot do and be for themselves. I'm going to end by this wonderful quote. Actually, I'm going to give you 2 or 3 quotes. The first is by Catherine Marshall. Our most spectacular answers to prayers have come when we were so helpless, so out of control, that we could do nothing at all for ourselves. Those of us in recovery know about this, don't we? And a quote by Rumi. Rumi says, "You are so weak. Give up to grace. The ocean takes care of each wave until it hits the shore. You need more help than you know." And finally, Don Nix writes this article. It's called Grace, a Relationship with the Cosmos. And he says, "I'm greater than I knew. This frail and vulnerable little biped has roots in the stars and boundless black space. I am the effect of invisible cause that I can sense, feel, and express, but I can never see. I dance with the galaxies and swirl with the suns as I sit at the breakfast table eating my cornflakes." We're human beings on a spiritual path. Until next time.